Once again, today I'm doing something that falls under the heading of just because I'm doing it doesn't mean I recommend it. This hopefully shouldn't be too dangerous, but what I've got is a Ruger Old Army black powder revolver, cap and ball revolver. And no, I'm not loading it with smokeless powder. I'm loading it with good old 3F black powder. But what I am doing is loading it with 45 caliber Keith bullets, cast, intended for the 45 Lone Colt, 255 grain bullets, flat nose semi-wide cutters. And since I cast those up for 45 Lone Colt, they're not pure lead, they're wheel weight metal or something similar. Pretty much just my standard casting mix. I'm not using a heavy load. I've got this powder measure or powder flask with a spout on it that it drops about 23 grains by actual weight of 3F. So put your finger over it, over the tube, open the valve and give it a little shake to get as much powder in it as possible, then turn it up. That's how that works. And the spout is now full of powder, and you just pour that into your chamber. Now let me point out that I do not have caps on the nipples of this revolver. That would be a really bad thing to do, because I have to start these bullets with my little homemade mallet that I made years ago to use with Lee loaders, the Lee impact loaders. So I'm just smearing a little bit of beeswax into the lube grooves to kind of help out a little. Help keep the revolver clean, or clean-ish. The reason I'm starting it with a hammer is because these bullets, they don't start, they don't start into the chamber mouths at all, and they're too long to fit under the rammer assembly. See, there's a cutout in the frame here where whatever bullet you use typically will fit under that. And I don't know, I might actually modify that, because I don't plan to use these bullets. I'm just testing it with these bullets, but I probably will use some sort of moderately heavy flat nose bullet, and so I might modify the frame a little bit there, depending on what, whatever I settle on, depending on if it'll fit in there or not. But what I'm doing here is I'm starting it with this thing. There are better ways to do it, and this is not going to shoot accurately, because it's not going to be perfectly concentric. But I'm just giving a little tap to get it started. Since I'm going to have to clean one black powder revolver, I figured I might as well clean two. So I brought along my little 58 clone, Pieta. Oh, Remington 1858 clone revolver, 44. You guys have seen that one before, seen me fire it before. But I guess I'll fire a cylinder full through it as well. I guess we'll set the baseline by shooting the Remington first. since I fired it quite a bit already. That's it on that one, since I did have it down on an empty chamber. So there were only 5 rounds. Let's see. As you can see, I need to burn some brush here. Rained every day for a while, and now it hasn't rained at all in a while. So, it's supposed to rain this evening though. So then maybe I can burn some of that brush. Okay, here goes nothing. Man, that was really light. I guess it did exit. It's not really smart to look down the bore, even though that chamber is fired. You know, it would be a bad deal if one of them went off, one of the other chambers, even though they're not lined up with the barrel, and it is possible. So I really don't need to be doing that. There are my targets. Yeah, so that was about 23 grains. I need to step it up to at least 30 grains with this bullet. But this is not the bullet that I really intend to shoot in it anyway. I'm just doing this because it's what I had laying around. And so just kind of test firing it. That felt a little better. Can't see where it's hitting. I'm trying to shoot really low. I don't know. Well, I said that it wouldn't be accurate because of the way I was having to seat them. So I think it was hitting somewhat close to where I was aiming, as far as, you know, I mean, close enough for maybe defensive purposes or something. But if that were necessary. But like I said, this was just a test, and we see that it does kind of sort of work. Let's see, I guess I need to back this thing off again. So there it is, the Ruger Old Army, which you've just seen fired with Keith bullets that were intended for .45 Colt. It fires them. You know, it's not ideal, and at a guess, I would say they were doing maybe 600 feet per second with that charge. And if I stepped it up to 30 grains, it will probably do 700 maybe. That's just guessing. And that wouldn't be too bad. But I have a .45 caliber real mode, R-E-A-L, rifling engraved at loading, Lee mode, which is intended for single shots. And I need to find that mode. Actually, I have two of them. I've got a 45 and a 50. But I need to find the 45 because they're tapered at the base to make them easier to load. And they're designed for single shots, of which I have, 2 or 3 single shot .45 caliber muzzle loaders. And I read online, actually it was Ed Harris, C.E. Harris, who wrote that those work well with the Ruger Old Army, and that they're a lot easier to seat because of being tapered, and they'll actually fit under the rammer, so you don't have to start them with a mallet or anything like that. You can just load them just like if you were loading round balls or conicals that were intended for the gun. And they still have lube grooves. So in fact, he said that he tumble lubes his with Lee liquid A-locks. So, you know, I've always heard not to use petroleum-based lubes in a black powder gun, but I might try that anyway, just to see how well it works. So I just need to find that mold. I actually looked for some of the bullets earlier because I'm pretty sure I had some cast up somewhere, but I couldn't find any. So anyway, we know the thing works now.